entrepreneurship, but just life in general. Like, if you put yourself out there, you're probably going to fail, and that's okay. You know, like, I'd rather fail now at 27 than fail at 77. Like,
Hmm.
I just have so much more time, right? And that's the only thing we can't get more of.
Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. We got him. I mean, he might be the most famous mattress guy on the planet. Uh, you know, dude, I like what I respect is like somebody owning what they do and then owning it completely, right? I'm obsessed with this. Like, have you read the book Good to Great?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so basically he studies like the most successful companies in a 30-year stretch, and it's basically like what's the difference between a good and a great company. It's like
Hmm.
probably my favorite business book of all time, and it's
Okay.
not the things that you would think, right? And so I think that's what you're. It doesn't mean that you're going to be the mattress guy for the rest of your life, but in
Right.
this moment you
Hmm.
are owning it, right? And that's what I appreciate about you. But for anybody that doesn't know your story or doesn't follow you, kind of give us a little background.
Yeah, I mean, it really started probably 30 something years ago before I was even born. Um, my grandmother basically told my dad, you want to marry my daughter, you need to get a real job. He looked in the newspapers, found a job as a salesman for a mattress company, and he started learning the ropes. And then he had my brother in 94 and moved our family from Chicago to Wilmington and started up his own stores. And then after I went through college and went through a regular 9 to 5, like 11 months, COVID hit. I got fired. Best thing that ever happened to me. And I didn't get fired because of COVID. I got fired just because I sucked at regular 9 to 5. Um, and then I went out to Pittsburgh for 2.5 years and ran my own shop. Learned the business from my dad and my brother, um, and kind of the rest is history. So I've been doing this for about 5 years now, um, and there's been lull periods throughout, but that's kind of the gist of it.
And what's interesting about like what you say, like terrible at a 9 to 5, like there's the old saying like I'd rather make less money, but control my schedule. And it's like one of the funny
Mhm.
things is like it doesn't mean we work less, but it's just like we can make our own path. I think that's what really anybody that's sitting in a W-2 today, they're not like, if you have a family, it's a different story, right? You need something
Yep.
comparable. But if you're young, I tell my joke with young kids. I said, do you know how far you have to fall if you risk starting a business? I said you have to fall from the couch to the floor.
Yep.
That's far,
Spot
and
on.
so I would imagine that's probably what you enjoy the most. I mean, it doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean it's not. Doesn't mean it's not. But that freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, there's freedom in it. I also grew up in it, right? So it's like I don't almost didn't see any other way. Us Hancocks are very stubborn people, and so I just there was a lot of frustration when I did work the 9 to 5, like being told what to do 24/7, and also having no control over what was really happening with my job or what I was doing, et cetera, or where I knew my talents were. I'm a very self-aware person. I know where I suck and I know where I'm good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think those are important attributes. But yeah, I would say you know, I realized when COVID hit, like if I don't do it now, when am I ever going to do it? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
the hardest part is taking that leap. And like you said, like I have mentors who shoot, 5 or so years ago, we're talking about making the switch, and it's, but he has 3 kids and a wife and a mortgage and, land and et cetera, right? Like all these bills, that just come as part of life, right? And so he just wasn't able to make the jump that I easily could have made because I don't have the kids and the wife and the mortgage and all that, right?
Hmm.
And that's life. You honestly, you have to make that decision early on, unless something crazy happens later on. But for the most part, you got to make that decision early on in life.
In our consulting business, we have a couple businesses that we work with that, our family run businesses very long time, right? Talk to me about kind of the pressure that comes on carrying the name. It's kind of the subconscious understanding that nobody really talks about.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I had imposter syndrome for the longest time. I just and it's why, like, I mean, in the past 2 years, I've tried 2 other businesses as well, and really like hammered. And what you see now is like mattress guy on Twitter, but that really started in like December of last year.
Hmm.
Like I really went full fledged in the past 5 years. I'd say I've done more in the past 6 months and progressing my business forward than I have in the previous years, honestly. And that's because I just kind of went all in, and kind of got over this imposter syndrome of, hey, this was my dad's thing, and all of his connections, and like, hey, this is a leg up and an opportunity for me to really succeed on. And then also the work that my brother's done with my dad. So um, it does have a different meaning to it because that Hancock last name, right, is known in our industry, because of the work my dad put in and the connections he's made. Um, and so I always wear that with a sense of pride, regardless in this industry or not, like just in life. You only get one last name, and I truly believe in that. Like, I want people to think of Hancock, direct outlet, the mattress guy, and think of like integrity, think of doing right by people 24/7. I always tell people, like, I don't care if you're, a broke college student to a grandparent to somebody who's a millionaire, billionaire. Like, I treat all my customers like they were my grandmother. Pretty
Hmm.
simple.
Hmm.
And so I think if you take that mindset, over not over a 2 year, 3 year period, but over a 20 year, 30 year period, you're gonna win.
And what would you think, imposter syndrome is? I think I read one time, like the only way you would have imposter syndrome if you were already doing something that you didn't believe you could do in the first place. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
right.
so like, how did you break through? That's what a lot of people are dealing with. What was your kind of like aha moment per se?
Life, honestly. I don't know if there was any of my doing, probably the Lord's doing, honestly, just like breaking me to be like, nope, that didn't work, that didn't work, okay, you know?
Yeah.
And that's part of like, I think that's the beauty in entrepreneurship, but just life in general. Like, if you put yourself out there, you're probably gonna fail, and that's okay, you know? Like, I'd rather fail now at 27 than fail at 77, like,
Hmm.
I just have so much more time, right? And that's the only thing we can't get more of. So yeah, yeah, life kind of just had its way in a sense, and with business, um and then when I just started talking about mattresses on Twitter, it just went. Like, it was so
Hmm.
natural, it was so easy, still is, um and fun. Like, there was a before that, I didn't really see how to expand my business without doing what my dad did, which was my dad had up to 8 stores at one point before the recession hit. Um,
Sure.
and that smoked him. But that's the model, right? You look at the big retail stores, right? And I'm not going to give them any more publicity than they already have, but there's ones with 500 stores, there's ones with 2,500 stores, right? Um, and that's the model, and it's expensive, I probably have, and my store's small, I probably have close to 30,000, 20,000 ish in inventory, and then probably another 10 to 15 and everything else. And that's one little small store of like 3,000 square feet. Most of these are 5 to 10,000 square feet, right? So you can do the math. Um, and then you got to pump advertising. What I've seen with building online and Twitter is I have $0 in inventory, and honestly, until recently, $0 in marketing as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just out here promoting my company via personal brand stories, right? Videos, personal connections, and it works. It's real sales.
So I want to we'll get into the deep numbers in the economics, but I want to touch on one last point. What
Hmm
is the current structure of like your family business and who does what, and like with your brother and your dad, like, are you
Yeah,
working?
we're
Do you have
all
your own place? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so I'm in it right now. I'm in my shop here at Charlotte. My brother has his own shop in Raleigh, and my dad has his own shop in Wilmington. When my dad kind of switched to this by appointment model and far different than typical retail, he had his own store and he wanted to run it, and life was going to be a lot less stressful, right, than owning and operating 8 stores in 2 different states. And so my brother, when he got into it, owned and operated his own store and myself as well. So we all own and operate our own stores. We all come together and talk about things, but we can make individual decisions as we see fit. And then when we buy as a whole, so we get discounts
Okay.
accordingly.
Love that model. That's amazing. So, you know, I mean, we don't have to get crazy into the numbers, but just,
Hmm
one of the things I'm obsessed with right now is like HVAC, plumbing, landscaping, roofing. They're the hot topics. But I'm
hmm
more obsessed with these other businesses, that are maybe more niche focused. Like, talk to us about the economics of like, what do you see? Like, I mean, frankly, mattress isn't that exciting.
mm
But that
No.
being said, it's something we use every day, but yet nobody really, I don't feel like it's gotten the attention until the last couple of years, like with these new mattress companies online. I've bought probably 400 in my career through Airbnb, maybe more.
hmm
So I have some opinions, So, talk to us on, kind of the economics of the business, what you can share. And if somebody was looking to get into a different area, how does it stack up against these kind of more popular?
Yeah, so I'd say economics wise, there's typically, and it depends, right? Depending on what price points people are buying at. But on a consumer basis, regular Joe Schmoes, like if I were to sell to you, right, without Airbnbs and all that, you're looking at anywhere from 50 to 70%, gross margins, right? So and even higher, honestly, for some of these bigger brands that are just selling brand name, um, because there's not the repeat buy, right? So they're having to make their money in that sale. Um, and then you get into Airbnbs, which is more in the 20-ish to 35-ish range, depending on volume, right? And then you get into hotels, which is typically 10 to 15%, typically on the lower end. Um, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of margin on those. And I mean, you probably seen prices. They go as high as 10, 15,000. Typically, these big retail stores are sitting around the 4 to 6K, just for a mattress, and then an adjustable, depends on what you do. But a lot of the people I'm getting quotes from are, you know, 8, 9, 10K for a mattress and adjustable bases with it, right? If you go
Mm-hmm.
twin XL, which is typical for married couples, 2 twin XLs and then 2 twin XL bases. That's where they, kind of get this perceived value and get you all the way up to 10K, 13K. So, yeah.
And like when you're sitting back and you're thinking about your business and you're understanding it, what's the difference in the you've seen, it sounds like um the retail kind of brick and mortar thing has kind of gone to the wayside in some different aspects of different sectors, right? Do you
Hmm.
find a lot of freedom in keeping your costs, your internal costs lower, and being able to ship out, to everybody and use your presence online?
Yeah, definitely. And to what degree it continues to fully go online, we'll see. The hardest part is, with online comes returns, and it's, I mean, you just can look at public records. N- There's really not anyone who are offering major returns that are staying in the game without a ton of funding, right? Like they're just getting backed by, either getting bought out once they hit 50, 60 million in sales or whatever the case is, or they're going under. And there's some that are battling just to stay on stock exchanges right now, because the numbers aren't as great as everybody thought they would be, right? And so there's a bounce there. To what extent does retail totally die? I don't know. It definitely has simmered down, and I think COVID has escalated that. Um, but that's gonna kind of be what's written, over the next 10 to 15 years, really, right?
Hmm.
We'll just have to kind of see. I mean, I still talk to a good amount of people that want to try the mattresses out. They'll DM with me on Twitter. We'll talk through, and they think this is what the range is, but they're like, my wife says we got to try it out. Wife's the boss, right? So that's typically what
Hmm.
goes. So um, I still have a lot of that, and so I have kind of ways to help them with that, and then still you know, get them to buy from me. But yeah. So to what extent fully goes that way, I don't know. If I had the crystal ball, I'd be a millionaire, right? But it's definitely going more and more online. The hard part is going to be like what's sustainable online, and that's what we're trying to figure out as we
Hmm.
shift online as well. Is like, okay, we'll go online as well, but what's sustainable long term, and where are we giving and taking? Because right now it's a lot of giving, and the companies aren't taking enough to where they can stay in the game without being bought out or funded, um, by VC, private equity, et cetera, right?
And I'd be curious, uh, first off, where are your top, 2 or 3 sources for leads at the moment?
Yeah, Google. We use Bodie and Striker Digital. Um, uh, Marketplace was for the longest time. It's very interesting. Marketplace was huge during COVID, and then it's kind of died in the last year and a half, I'd say. Um, and then Twitter's been huge for us. So those two, and then referral and repeats are always strong. So
And what did you see? What when you went heavy on Twitter and X? What did you see the shift in your business? Like, how insane has the difference been, really, from
yeah,
not doing it to now?
yeah. I mean, it's been drastic. Like we did a hotel deal. It was $104,000 deal. It's all public. Our Pete Patel, you can look him up. He posted about it on his own Twitter. 400 mattresses. Um, and that was out in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Um, so that was amazing. But then also just, I think I've done like over 50 regular consumers as well. And just left and right. And then other opportunities to as well do some type of, and we're still figuring this out, but some type of franchisee model where we're kind of playing middleman with the supplier, and for us making a little cut, nothing really crazy, 5 to 10%, but more so building up volume, so that we can get better deals, but also private labeling long term. So it's kind of
Amazing.
a it's kind of
And
a
what's your what?
mixed bag.
Yeah, what's your advice to any W-2 searcher, anybody looking to start or buy a business? You're a young guy. You've seen what X can do for you. What's your kind of overall advice and like mood of like starting a business, etc.?
say this to all my friends who are in regular jobs, like you need to be out there talking about your story. Like people, you think people don't want to hear, or maybe you're nervous of doing it. You need to be out there telling your story, period. Like that's in discussion. Like if you're not, you're falling behind. Nobody's going to know you, right? But also for the connections, like, I know we've conversed a couple times, but I've made so many connections on X that are gonna last a lifetime, and you never know how they're fit in for you. We've been trying to figure out shipping for our vendors and manufacturers who don't have those capabilities already built in with FedEx and UPS, et cetera. And I just reached out to Twitter and was like, "Can you connect me?" And I've got connected with a bunch of different things, people that do all that, right? And just got like wisdom from people. I mean, I think I hopped on like 6 or 7 calls, and
Hmm.
like nobody's asking me for anything. They were just trying to help, right? And so we've got, I think we've taken some swings and at bats at like 4 or 5 different hotels, as well. Um, and then we've also done an Airbnb or two as well. But like, and that's just like in a short period, and we're not the biggest or anything. We're a small family business, right? So the opportunities that have come from it are just endless, and they're only gonna continue to come. So yeah,
So here's the question, right? As you talk about all this, like, are your mattresses any different besides price? Remove price from it. Are your mattresses any different than the said big person can get? Can you get the same mattresses?
we are.
Right? Okay. So then why are they doing business with you?
Because of price, right? Because of price,
Okay.
transparency, and I think also personal brand. And people want to buy
Mm-hmm.
through us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the
Mm-hmm.
price is drastic. So, for instance, and I posted a couple of these yesterday. I and now it's not exact name, but it's a comparable like for like spec. The guy got quoted 62.99. He bought from me for 19.99. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's real money, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
we had another guy, I'm trying to remember the exact number. I think it was like 79.99 for it's what he got quoted for mattress and adjustable, and that was a second tier mattress. So on this company's they have 3 different tiers. Um, and So they were at 79.99 for mattress and adjustable, and he bought through us, and he's at 41.99. So like the savings are a couple thousand each person, and it's just like
Mm-hmm.
clockwork. So it's real money.
And so, I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's just about you getting those case studies out there to everybody, and then creating them.
Yep.
So, like, this is about to be. You're like, I don't have time for this, Austin. Don't even suggest this. But I remember Gary V many years
Hmm.
ago said, if you're a high-powered attorney and you love golf,
Hmm.
start a podcast about golf and never talk about being an attorney.
Yeah.
I feel like you should start a podcast,
Yeah.
like,
Probably.
and just and just be like, yeah, oh, and I sell mattresses, like,
Hmm.
like, but like, in my opinion, like, the price speaks for itself. You're a good guy. Want to do business with you. I know you're going to do it the right way. Like, you really have an opportunity here over the next couple years, in my opinion, to really create something special, right? But where I tell every young guy that I meet, I know you, and I know that you have a bigger vision for everything. So,
Hmm.
like, the mattress is like just the thing now, but like,
Hmm.
what's the, like, I would be focusing on, like, what's the bigger Nick vision, but that's merely there to feed your own soul, but going to be the thing that you cling on to 5, 7, 10 years from now.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. And I've thought about it, and so it's probably more about just putting it in action, right, at the end of the day. Um,
Yeah,
you know, that's really what it is. So yeah,
I
I've
love
always
it.
loved, yeah, I've always loved these. So
So if people want to reach out to you, they want to hunt you down, how would they do that?
yeah, mattress guy. I think there's like an underscore at the end on X. It's the easiest. Or our website, directoutletmattresses.com. Either one, but Twitter's usually the easiest to get me.
So guys, invest in the thing that you spend half of your life on. And if you have a bad back or you're not sleeping well, there might be a reason.
Yep,
So reach out to this
100%.
guy. He's going to save you some money. But more, and also if you have a hotel, he'd love to furnish that whole bad boy.
Yeah, and just real
So
quick on that one, our Pete, I think he posted this publicly. Um, the total with us was 111K after tax and everything. He got quoted 132K after tax and everything. So there's the savings.
amazing. Amazing.
Yep.
Well, thank you, brother. Guys, if you like this
Thank you.
episode, send it around, share some reviews, and we'll see you next time.